we're celebrating our 100th episode.
He said some crazy things to me.
LA is the easiest place to date because the bar is so low.
You shouldn't need a person, you should want a person.
You guys are well beyond your years.
All right, before we cry.
Yeah, I'm like, please, can we move on? Because I'm the most emotional person ever.
I think that, this is scary.
Welcome back to another episode of First Rounds on Me. Today's episode is a major milestone for us. We're celebrating our 100th episode. To make this celebration even sweeter, we're joined by an amazing duo making their podcast debut as a couple, Kenzie Ziegler and Cole Sage. Expect plenty of laughs, juicy stories, and insights into their relationship you won't hear anywhere else. Kenzie and Cole, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for
Very excited
taking
about
time
this.
out of your busy schedules to come and join us on the couch for
Oh my
an
gosh.
hour or so.
All the way from Woodland Hills.
Of course, of
All the way
course.
from Woodland Hills.
So one question I always love to ask, and I get right to it. How did you guys meet? I love a meet cute.
Do you want to tell the story?
I feel like you have a better
Okay,
perspective.
okay. This was over Halloween. I got out of a 3-year relationship, literally very, very early on. And then I met him Halloween night. No.
It
Yes.
was like a few days before.
A few days before Halloween night, and we met at one of our mutual friends' houses. It was kind of like an after party situation, and I guess I just saw him and was like, I really want to talk to him, but I was really nervous too. He said some crazy things to me. Would you like, no, maybe you shouldn't reiterate, but he's just the way I think the reason I just loved him so much from the get-go was he was so, I guess, just himself, and he's so funny. I'm really gassing you up right now.
As you should.
Thank you.
And he said hilarious comments, and we talked all night. We basically told each other like our whole life story. And yeah, we've been inseparable ever since.
And that was the last Halloween?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. And you touched on so many things there. One of them in particular where you saw him live in person and you kind of got those butterflies.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what I missed about, before this whole age of social media where you saw somebody and you were like, I just want to go talk to them and see what they're about.
Totally.
I love that.
And I've never done that. I've never done that before because most of the time with my relationships, I've met them online or I was just friends with them at that time. So it was just like, it was such a different experience just seeing him in person. And we've been to all the same things before. And we have so many mutual friends. And I was like, how have I never seen him before?
Oh, really? Prior to it, like you'd been in the same room.
Yeah.
And, see, that reminds me of the invisible string theory, where like two people are meant to be together, and you kind of like you're almost like ships passing in the night, and then one night it all comes to a beautiful fruition.
No, it's crazy how we I don't know. It was really nice not like going into it, and I didn't know who she was at first. And I mean, she obviously had no idea who I was either, which was like great because we went in just like no expectations whatsoever. It was just like two people who didn't know each other. And it was funny though. I remembered like this was like 6 months later that at one point I guess someone had tagged her in a post that I followed, and I had stalked her on Instagram probably like 6 months before Halloween. And then I saw at the time she had a boyfriend. So I was like, not worth it. And
He told me that like months into our relationship too.
I
Like he
completely
was
forgot
scared
that
too. I
happened.
think he was scared. I think you were scared. too about
I
it.
genuinely didn't remember. And then it just one day I was like, I did see you before I actually met you one time.
That's
Wait, that's
hilarious.
so funny because Joe and I had something very similar where he had like one of his friends, her and I were at the same party, and we
You're on
like
a
took a
boat.
picture. Or we were on a boat,
Yeah.
and she classic, and she took a picture with us, and then he replied to the story going, "Who's that?"
Mhm.
And it was me. And then we met 3 months later.
Yeah, and then Hannah thought
Oh,
it was fishy
wow.
because we were dating for like a month. And she's like, wait, something's fishy here. Why did you ask about me like 6 months ago? And I was like, what are you talking
Did you,
about?
like,
She's
track
like,
me
look,
down?
she screenshotted the comment. And I was like, I had no idea that I even did that. And that
That's
was you.
amazing.
Yeah.
See,
That's
again,
so cute.
right? Invisible string. But I love the fact that you guys met and then you just sat there and spoke all night. Like that really is the mark of something really, truly beautiful.
Yeah, it was really special, and I think I was so nervous to meet someone new because I was just not in a great situation before, and he just my expectations were just so low at that point, and I think him being so great, I was like, there has to be a catch here, because like he's either too good to be true or he's just like an F-boy and that's just that, you know?
I have my flaws, but
No, he's perfect. He's
Well,
great.
Cole told me that he's from Kansas City.
yes.
Mhm.
And I feel like for guys who are actually like good guys, LA is the easiest place to date because the bar is so low. And even before I met Hannah, I was like, why do all these girls like me? And it was because I was just nice. I was just like, oh, I actually like respect you. And they're like, oh,
minimum,
this is crazy. And I was like, this is awesome. All you got to do is be a good guy.
Yeah.
Women in LA are wowed by the bare minimum of men just being nice.
It's true though, but it's hard to it really is hard to find here. So it's not even the bare minimum. It's just like I feel like especially you come from the Midwest and Midwest men and are raised very well.
Yeah.
So I got
Midwestern values
really
is a
lucky.
thing.
But yeah, I feel like LA it's just so different and the bar is definitely super low. So
Devastatingly
when
low.
I found him, I was like, whoa, this is like the craziest person I've ever found in my life.
We're
Which
like, I'm snapping you
lot
up.
of
real
Yeah.
quick.
Because you were going through a tough time when we met.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I think it's just like when you get out of like toxic relationships or really hard relationships, you are kind of disillusioned to the idea of love or the fact that good people, you know, are out there. And so then when you actually meet somebody, at first you're like, I don't fucking know about you. Like there has to be something. The shoe's going to drop at some point. But then you start to realize that there really are good people out there and that you're just lucky enough to get one.
totally.
That's how I was with her. The first time she was ever like, she was traveling. This was actually recent.
Yeah, this is really recent.
And like all of our friends were out doing stuff and I was just at home and you know she's out of the country and she's like, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, just hanging out here. And then she was like, why don't you go out with your
Everyone.
friends? And I was like, I can do that? Like that's a thing?
I'm
Like,
allowed?
I was like, yes.
I was like, oh, okay. Like cool.
Well, kind of speaking of that, like you both have pretty like demanding careers, right? So when you are apart from each other, how do you kind of ensure the fact that you can connect and stay there with each other?
It's like difficult. Mainly like I want to say like when it's like she works internationally a lot. So I guess it's adjusting the time change. But I lived in Germany for 2 years. So I was 7 hours ahead from everyone else. So I've gotten pretty good at like gauging it and finding the time, just like talking to my family. So we really do make it work. It's mainly like mostly on her because she is traveling so much and so busy. And then my schedule's pretty open. Like I'm my own boss right now. I'm an independent artist. Like I don't have anyone really to tend to except my own needs or whatever. But definitely I think it's just we've gotten, you know, used to finding a groove in terms of like just FaceTiming and calling when possible. And then having understanding that we're not always going to be able to talk 24/7 and that's normal. It is a normal thing. And I'm still getting used to that. I'm like, wait, we don't hang out and talk all the time. Like this is weird.
But that's also
No.
a mark of how in love you guys are.
Yeah.
The fact that you want to be around each other
Yeah.
24/7.
It makes me
Yes.
miss her too. It makes her miss me, which is amazing.
Yeah, I
Distance makes
think
the heart grow fonder.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, but yes, we do talk a lot, and you know sometimes I get lucky enough to be able to bring him with me, or we get to travel together, which is super nice. And yeah, I feel like we never let the work or business get in the way because I think that's just a toxic way to have that mindset in a relationship. I mean, we always just know that we love each other and work never comes, you know, before one another.
or in between it.
Or in
yeah.
between,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. What was like one of the things that you learned as you were in a relationship? Maybe even to your example, Chloe, where you were like, oh, I can go out. Like, before the relationship, I didn't know I could do that. But like as you got that trust and built the core of the relationship, what are some of the things that you were like, oh, this is what happens in a relationship?
Oh my gosh. I mean, for me, everything. Every relationship I've been in has been super toxic. Obviously, there are goods and bads to a relationship, but most of the time I was not allowed to, which is crazy that I'm saying not allowed, but you were in the literal same boat. I wasn't allowed to have guy friends. I was not allowed to go out with my girlfriends. I guess I was like, I'm not allowed to leave the house. Like, it's honestly insane. And I had to turn down some jobs because I wasn't allowed to like kiss a boy on a screen or something. Like that's the kind of relationship I was in. And before I got into the relationship with Cole, I was like, I'm not bringing any of my trust issues from that relationship into this one because, you know, when you are with someone for so long, you kind of adapt to them and also start, you know, being scared of what they're doing and not wanting them to go out, because it's kind of a double standard at that point.
100%.
And so, yeah, before we got into a relationship, I was like, I'm not bringing any of that into my relationship. I also made it very clear to him that I'm not doing that again. Obviously, I know he's a great person and he would never put me through that, but I just wanted to make it very clear. Like, I can't lose friends. I want to really pay attention to my friendships, because at the end of the day, my friends have been there for me throughout all of my terrible relationships, and just not even relationships, just everything I've been through. So I think we've built a really great just like trust
Foundation,
within each other. And you know, I never question him, which is awesome, because that's a great feeling that I've never felt before. But I don't know. What about you?
I think one, like all of that, and then for me, like specifically, there's a lot of things that I've kind of learned like about myself that I've had to figure out, and I think some of it's like probably like rooted in insecurity and stuff like that. But you know, one thing that I always hear people say is like, you can't love someone until you love yourself, which I think is 100% true, and I 100% agree. But I will say, like, there's people who like think that if you have any sort of insecurity or any of that, like, you can't be in a relationship. Like, you have to be 100% 100% comfortable with who you are completely. And like, my thing when I'm single is like, I don't like worry about a lot of the things that I do worry about now, because now I'm like, she just challenges me. Like, she's an amazing person who I want to keep, you know, in my life for as long as possible. So she challenges me in ways to like be a better person and really like work on myself, that like I don't really like feel the need to like be that person when I'm single, because I'm just like, I can just be exactly who I want to be and I don't have to worry about anybody else or tend to anybody else's needs. I'm living only for me. But like, it is a companionship now, and there are like some like, you know, added factors to things. I think that's been my biggest thing for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I always think like the right person is somebody that challenges you even when it might be tough, because the people that love you the most know your potential and want the best for you. So even if some of those conversations are difficult, it's like they just want you to be the best version of yourself.
Sure.
And I think that's the right partner, because if those are the fights or the arguments you're in, those are the best, because it's like, I'm not arguing with anything you did. I'm arguing with like, I want the best for you, you want the best for me. Let's push each other. And when you push people in a positive way,
In a healthy way.
yeah, in a healthy
Of
way,
course.
it's always challenging.
Of course.
I love that. You guys are well beyond your years. Let me tell you that.
1000%.
Like, even Cole, I'm telling you, like, I met Hannah when I was 30. I was an idiot. I had no idea what I was doing. I was so emotionally unintelligent, and I was just like, man, thank God I met her, because now I can start to be a guy, I guess.
Appreciate that.
But also in the same way, it's like, I think I helped him with like his emotional maturity, and then he helped me be grounded. He helped resolve a lot of those trust issues. And to your point, I think that was so beautifully said, of like, people think that they need to be 100% before they get into a relationship. And the reality is, it's sometimes through a relationship where you grow the most and where you learn the most about yourself and you become solidified in those values. And that is, I feel like, is the most, because it's so forming, it's so shaping in such a beautiful way. Really well said, Cole.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more for this section, darling, or shall I move on to the next?
No, I mean, I feel like we could talk to them for
For
a long time. We
days
have a
and
lot to
hours.
go through. So.
We do. All right, so I want to jump in to your respective music careers. I'm going to start off with you, Kenzie, first, because there's just so much I want to go over. But first and foremost, so you were known for dancing for the longest time, right?
Yes.
What made you move to music?
I mean, ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to be a pop star. I mean, I grew up watching Hannah Montana, which is like the most embarrassing thing to say, but I still watch it.
That's not embarrassing. It's an
Party in the
amazing show.
USA is on my top 5 list.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
FYI.
This is a good room to be in. But yes, I just looked up to her so much, and I would tell my mom that's gonna be me one day. And when I was dancing and I was on a reality show, I started making music when I was like 8 years old. Which is insane. I mean, it doesn't even sound like me, and I didn't write it, so it's not even worth crediting for. But yeah, so ever since I was like 11 or 12, I knew that it was something that I really wanted to pursue. I went to Nashville when I was 11, and I started writing my own music, which was super scary, being so young and being in a room full of professional people. But I think sometimes you kind of have to do the hard things to get what you want. And yeah, so I've just been on this long journey, and it's been amazing. So
Dude, that's
That's
incredible.
awesome. And you're only 20 now, right?
yes.
So you still have a whole career to go.
Yeah, I still forget that I'm so young. But yes.
You're so young.
Wait, but you started on television when you were like a baby, like
6 years old, yes.
like an absolute infant.
was it, I'm not really too familiar with Dance Moms, but
Mhm.
obviously I know what it is because of how big it was. So was it like a season and now it's just like, was your season like the beginning, or is it was it a thing?
All the way throughout. I think there was like a couple of seasons you were on, correct?
Yeah, I was on it from when I was 6 to when I was 12.
But were you like the first season?
Yes, my sister, my mom, and I were on the very first season. It was filmed in our dance studio, so
Where was that?
in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Wasn't there like a young blonde girl, and her and her mom were,
Chloe? Was it Chloe?
I have no idea, but I just remember like there was a blonde girl and like the mom was
Yes.
like pushing her way too hard or something like that.
all of the moms were just the typical dance mom. I feel like
I think it was like amped up for reality TV as well.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, in the dance world, I mean, moms can definitely be super crazy and live vicariously through their kids. I feel like that's kind of within every sport. Parents just like want to be their kids so bad. Thankfully, my mom was not like that. I mean, she wanted us to win. We've seen clips, and she's.
I mean, of course,
she's
every
wanted
parent's
us to win,
competitive,
but-
but also, I feel like your mother seemed like the most normal one out of all of
We
them.
have
For sure.
we have videos of my basketball games, my brother's football games in high school, and all you hear is my mom just like, tackle him, like get him.
Right. So that's the best kind of mom. You know?
The best, yeah.
So passionate. All right, so the song that you broke out into the mainstream with, which, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Anatomy. And when I first listened to that song, way before we even decided to do this podcast, I listened to it and like sobbed because I think that it connected with a lot of my own personal experiences, and I'm sure that it connected with just millions and millions of others. So why was it so important for you to tell that story through music?
Yeah. So the reason I actually wrote that song was I went into therapy when I just turned 18 years old, and when I was growing up, I would always joke to my friends and be like, I have daddy issues, like it's no big deal. And I never realized how much it actually, I really thought about it. I guess it was a really hard time for me. I lost my dad, like my parents split up when I was 4. So it just really didn't seem like a big deal to me until I grew up. And my therapist wanted me to write a letter to my dad and basically just like burn it after, like not, send it to him or anything. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. Like I just don't journal. I'm not that type of person. And so I just wrote a song instead. It was like 2 a.m. with 2 of my close friends that I write with. And I remember it was a lot of sobbing. It was a lot, but it was honestly very therapeutic. Just like talking about those feelings with my friends, especially because sometimes in writing rooms, you have to tell your like whole life story to like random men. And it's just like, you don't care about my breakup that happened 2 years ago. But yeah, so we wrote the song. I sent it to my therapist and she was like, wow, this is great. And then I started playing it for people. And my friends were like, why don't you release this? Like, this would probably help a lot of people. I didn't for a really long time. It was really scary because also I've never had that conversation with my dad. And I finally released it, and honestly, it changed my life, obviously, because it did so well. But I think just overall, it just helped me so much, hearing other people's stories and other people relating to mine. I felt so alone during that time, and now I'm so past it, and I just feel like, wow, that was meant to happen.
Did you get like this outpouring of people kind of sharing similar stories, or just like telling the kind of just in the way that I did, like how much it touched them?
Yes, and it meant so much to me, just because, like I said, when you're a kid and you're going through those things, you kind of feel like you're the only one that's going through them alone. And so when I heard that, it kind of just like healed my inner child for sure. So
That's awesome. I even think for adults too. Like a lot of adults think that they deal with things that other people don't.
Totally.
But that's why I love the arts, because, people think the arts is for fame and, to make a lot of money. But music and movies, it makes you feel. And there's so many different emotions of life. And whether you're going through a breakup or a family member dies or something, you go to music to feel and to be able to.
It's a therapy.
Yeah, have a therapy. Exactly.
It's incredibly therapeutic. It's so beautiful. And I feel like in a small way, you didn't like heal my relationship with my father, but I kind of like understood myself a little bit more by listening to it. And it was so...
That makes me want to cry. That's so sweet.
I'm going to show Joe afterwards because I cried like tears and tears. All right. Before we cry.
Yeah, I'm like, please, can we move on? Because I'm the most emotional person ever.
Honestly, me too. So your song Word Vomit details the aftermath of a breakup because of a cheating partner, how you didn't see that betrayal coming, and the gaslight that followed. When listeners hear Word Vomit, are there any certain feelings or reflections that you want them to walk away with?
Wow. I think it's just, for me, writing that song and recording that song was super empowering. I work with a lot of females, which... I love the men, obviously, but it is just so nice getting to, you know, kind of trauma dump to girls because we just feel so close and comfortable with each other. And the same girls that wrote Anatomy with me, we wrote Word Vomit together. And yeah, it's just like the most therapeutic thing. We were all like, F him and blah, blah, blah. And we were dancing around to it. And yeah, it was just a whole therapy session. And of course, I like to be super open in my music, which sometimes I don't think about the other person a lot of the time. But like, I feel like that's what music is for, to kind of pour out your feelings no matter what the other person thinks.
It's your own personal perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's again, to what Joe said, it's like, this is your journey. It's your voice being able to kind of like reach the masses.
Totally.
All right, for Cole, hearing songs like Word Vomit or Anatomy can be tough for anyone close to the artist. Does it ever bring up any emotions for you, knowing the depth of what she's gone through in her past?
Oh, 100%. One, I think understanding her, it definitely helps hearing her, like how, because like we've obviously talked about things, but we haven't, you know, I try not to like pry and like be like, how did that make you feel? You know, if she tells me, obviously, and I know she's a very emotional person.
But I also think I'm just really bad sometimes about sharing how I feel about a certain situation. I just bottle things up. So.
She does tend to like bottle things up sometimes, and I think music is definitely an outlet for her. So kind of the questions that I would have for her, you know, I kind of I understand them through listening to her music, which is like awesome because I really get to like sit there and break it down. And I like listening to it because it's good music.
Yeah,
so
heck
it's
yeah. It's like a little cheat code almost in a way, isn't it?
I get to like, it's like we're having like a deep conversation, but it like sounds really good at the same time too. I'm like, wait, this is awesome.
Which I'm sure as a fellow musician, you truly appreciate.
I can get down with that whenever. So.
Heck yeah, man. Do you feel like a sense of responsibility to show her that not all relationships hold that kind of hurt?
100%.
Is it like a big responsibility to bear sometimes?
Yeah, but I feel like, you know, one, I just like, you know, I want to be myself. So I don't want to be like, I'm going to be this person because like she, you know, needs this kind of person in her life. Like at the end of the day, I'm just going to be myself and hope that that's what she needs. And she gives me a lot of reassurance, you know, telling me that, you know, I'm not like other people, which is really great considering the people she's been involved with. But no, yeah, I do like definitely feel a responsibility, but I don't think it really changes how I act in any way. I think it just is a reminder, you know, to keep being me for sure.
Heck yeah, because like you said, you get that reassurance from her, the fact that just you, the way that you are, is healing.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Well, a lot of people go through heartbreak. So if either of you could give direct advice to the listeners out there about how to kind of like heal from heartbreak or how to deal with it, what would be your advice?
Ooh.
I know it's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question. I think for me, if you're like really actively going through it in the first few days, even, you know, that first like real period, I would say surround yourself with people 100% that you're close with. But I also think don't avoid the feelings. I think a lot of people just kind of bottle it up and put it away, and then it'll just manifest into something else. I think definitely face them, but I think do it in a healthy manner. Like, so like for me, I feel like if I just live a healthy lifestyle, if I'm like feeling down, and if it is like in the past heartbreak, it's like work out and then eat healthy. And then for me, it's like write music, you know, have a creative outlet. And I think kind of, and then that gets me to like, you know, not like just sit there and feel bad for myself, but to like actually, you know, maybe rationalize everything and understand what's happening. And then also doing things for myself makes me feel better about myself. I mean, like, okay, I don't need that person, you know, I can be on my own. And then, but like, obviously like, don't like the day of just be like, all right, I'm just going to think about all of this right now. Like if you need to take some time to grieve, take that time. But like,
Yeah.
You might have better advice than I do.
No, I think
Great
that's like,
advice.
I mean, I was going to say, like, surround yourself with your friends, I think is the most important part of it. And, you know, heartbreaks can be super hard, but I always think of it like you were saying, you don't really need anyone. At the end of the day, you've got yourself, and that's all you need. You shouldn't need a person, you should want a person, you know? And I think that's why we work so well, because, you know, we are very okay by ourselves, but we just like want each other, and we just want to be around each other. Of course, I need him for a lot of things.
I was gonna say my want might be turning into a need. The longer our relationship goes on and more we progress, I'm starting to need you a little more than I'm wanting.
I can't cook for myself anymore. If we got divorced, I don't know what I would eat out a lot.
Needs
So would
me in that
he.
regard.
Not if
I
we
would
got
eat out a lot. My laundry would be messy.
Laundry would be never done. All right, so a couple more questions around this thing. So, Cole, you're an incredible guitarist, correct?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
He is,
Are
yes.
you also a singer?
Yes, self-proclaimed singer. So
He is. He doesn't give himself.
I was about to say,
enough
please,
credit.
Kenzie, give us the real.
Yes, he
lowdown.
is. He is a musician full time.
I am working on singing right now.
Are you learning any tips and tricks from him?
Yes, actually.
No, I think he's just very nervous, but aren't you releasing a song next week?
I might be releasing my first song next week, and I might have 2 projects that I'm singing on both of them. That I've been.
Self-proclaimed singer, my ass. Come off it.
Wow.
That's so exciting.
It is exciting. I think there's kind of like a story, like, of why I kind of got into singing. It was like, obviously, like, I fell in love with guitar first. I've been playing guitar for 5 years. I feel like I started very late in the curve compared to most people, especially with music. I've always been very drawn towards music, but I've never been like, oh, I can do that. And then I learned guitar, and I was like, wait, I can do this. And then I was like, obviously, like, covering other people's songs, and I was like, I want to write my own guitar songs. Like, okay, this is fun. And then, but where it really hit is when I played my first show, played guitar for someone, and I was like, that was the greatest thing ever. I want to do that, but do my own music, because I feel like I have so much to say.
Heck yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at now, is like getting all those words out.
Right, I'm going to be
That's
keeping
awesome.
my eyes and my ears out for it. Last question. Do you think you all would ever collaborate on something?
Maybe they have.
I mean, I would love to, but that's scary.
Yeah. No, I think we have talked about just like writing together, which
Yeah.
I think would be so awesome. I mean, he is, even though he's like, you know, blah, 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 but he's an insane writer. I tell him all the time, I'm just like, wow, his music is so incredible. And I cry every time I hear his music, because his music is very sad.
Who would you say that is your genre?
Oh,
That's out there already.
like artists specifically?
Just like lyrically wise.
Lyrically wise.
Oh, there's my favorite band and like my biggest inspiration is this band Turnover. They're from Virginia. They're awesome. It's like an indie kind of shoegaze, like dream pop kind of thing. But like I really like I like a little storytelling. Like sometimes I like some of my songs, like I tend to lead more towards like telling a story throughout the song. There's a few bands. There's this band Slaughter Beach Dog that I really like. Modern
Slaughter
Baseball.
Beach Dog?
Yeah.
All the
That's a good
names
name.
are very interesting.
They're very interesting names, but they all have like really cool storytelling within their lyricism, and I really like that. It's like these kind of anecdotes that they throw into each song, but then I have some other songs that are just like solely based around how I feel, and I think it's kind of fun because I can bounce back and forth between the two.
You don't have to put yourself in a box.
But yeah,
You know?
that's
Right.
the other thing.
There's a band Arizona that I like. Have you ever heard of them?
I don't think so. No.
So they're like really good, and they tell a story. Whenever I would go through, like we broke up once, and I just listened to them, and I was like, "God, this is awesome!" Like they just told great stories.
Crying in his
I
car.
guess.
This is awesome.
I miss her so much. All right, we're going to move into dating because that is obviously the ethos of our app and what we surround itself. So, Joe, do you want to ask a couple of questions, darling? Then I'll dive in.
So I didn't even realize this. So you guys are Gen Alpha. So that means that we're 2 generations.
Well, how old
older
are you,
than them?
Cole?
I'm 24, so I'm like Gen
Oh, he's
Z.
Gen Z,
I'm
but
Gen Z.
Sweet Kenzie is
Are you
technically Gen Alpha.
really? I thought I was Gen Z. Am I not?
Gen Alpha, baby.
Damn.
You're 20. Yep, Gen
a
So
Alpha.
that means that
Embarrassing.
there's a whole generation in between us and Kenzie.
Correct.
That's
Fuck, we're
insane.
getting old. Damn.
Oh,
Millennials.
Oh, please.
Millennials used to be the young
telling you
people.
that earlier.
Not old
Wow.
at all.
Well, so we'll bucket you as Gen Z, Gen Alpha, talking to the millennials. So we're on different dating fields here. But given that Gen Alpha spends a lot of time online interacting virtually, is ghosting something that is normal, or is it still like a no-no?
Personally, I've never done that because I think that's the... Can I swear?
Yeah,
Yes.
for
That's
sure.
the most fucked up thing to do. I just think that's
Agreed.
so terrible.
Agreed.
Just be honest.
Just be like, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
But
it's
I
like
wanna-
so
let's,
easy.
Let's dig into that a little bit because, okay, say you go on one date with somebody and you're both like, okay, I was all right, but one person wants to see that person again. Do you feel like you have to say, hey, that didn't really work out? Or can you kind of soft ghost? By soft ghost, I mean like somebody says, hey, and you just kind of don't respond. If they say like, hey, what's going on? Like you didn't answer, you
I
don't
guess
ignore
for
them.
me, this is a question for him to answer because I like...
You've been like
Haven't-
only long term.
Yeah, I haven't really dated around. I've never dated around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Monogamous queen.
That's
Literally, I
actually a
can't.
really good argument. Like if it's like one date,
Yeah,
like I think
Have you done that?
but it's not a bad thing.
No.
He's thinking.
maybe. I mean, I feel like my issue, but this is more as of recent, in the past like year and a half, is like I'm far too honest. So I will say what is on my mind in the moment. That's why her and I met. That's why we hit it off so well. Is I was very honest about how I felt towards her, and so like I think that this is scary.
You're
This is
you can be honest.
dragging it out.
And
I
you
think
don't
you're
have to
dragging
agree
it
with
out,
me.
But
Like,
you
I-
can
it's
be
fine.
honest.
This is a scary question because some people might disagree very heavily.
I think
It's a
it
polarizing
depends
topic.
on the situation. I think if it, like you said, it is one date, just like, it didn't go well. You don't need to really explain yourself because that is kind of just like a get to know each other type thing. But if you're like talking all the time, I don't Snapchat, but like you're Snapchatting and you're, like
There's
I think,
a bit more intimacy there.
yeah, I think that's kind of different.
Yeah, there's
On
probably
ghosting?
rules. The
If
rules
you-
should be you should never let somebody double or triple text without responding because
Mm-hmm.
then that's mean. You should just say, hey, not working out. Like,
Mhm.
not something I really want to explore with you.
Totally.
And then the other thing I was going to say was,
Slipped your brain.
it did slip my brain.
It's all right. Everybody has brain fart.
But yeah, you should, if it's one date, I feel like you could just be like,
It's fun.
As
Yeah.
long as you don't lead them on. I guess that's what I was trying to say.
Yes.
If you like go on a date and you have a great time and you guys hang out after and you're like, you're amazing, this is great. And then you wake up the next day and they text you and be like, hey, and then you don't respond. It's like, okay, like maybe that's a little messed up. But if it's just like a normal, like get to know you date and then nothing really seems like it's going to come out of it, just be like,
I agree. So we agree.
Yeah.
We're
We
on the same
agree.
page.
We're all
Totally.
on the same page.
Yes.
Okay, so given that 72% of Gen Alpha prefers face-to-face interactions over digital chats, do you think dating apps like ours, which focus on in-person dates and actually helping you set up real dates from day one, are onto something, or is there more of a need for like digital connections where it's like easy to ignore people?
I do think that in person, I think there is like, it's not a very common thing anymore. I feel like in person dating, like just dates as is. Like I really didn't start really going on real dates until I met her, and like yes, we were like already together and stuff like that. But I feel like that's kind of like almost like a lost art because I feel like it is so
Yeah.
digital now.
Well, I feel like, so when you're 34 or 33, we were the guinea pigs for dating apps, and I feel like we fucked it up for everybody. And people from like 25 to 33 are, God bless their souls, like they're just lost. But I feel like the younger generation is learning how to make it all back to normal.
Mm.
So from what we've seen, actually, like people your age want more in real life events and like
Totally.
want more face-to-face interactions. And you guys are like, in the best way, screw dating apps. Like they're stupid.
He was my first date ever.
Wow.
She said that she was like, no one's ever really like taken me on a date before, and I was like, really?
I've also never used a dating app. So
God bless you.
See, there you go. Proof in
Yeah.
the pudding as well. Before we do some little dating rapid fire, do you want to explain to them the app and what it's all
Yeah.
about?
So, I mean, obviously, part of our show is we like to talk to couples and like, you're not going to use first rounds on me. But the reason why we created it was to kind of fix that gap for those people who got the brunt of what we went through. So we have 3 key differentiators. One is the first point of contact is actually sending somebody a date. So Cole, if you were to see Kenzie's profile, you wouldn't just like her and then you guys say, hey, what's up for the next 2 weeks? Because who wants to do that?
Right.
So you'd pick a drink time and place and send it to her. And then
Right.
Kenzie could be like, oh, Cole looks super cool. Yeah, sure, I'll accept the date. So then once you guys accept, you'll go into a calendar. And then the second differentiator is that we only allow you to have 1 date per day because we think like based off of some science and the way humans operate, the amount of people you could pay attention to at a time is like 3 to 5. So we were like, why not just focus all your time and energy on one person at a time instead of just connecting with tons of people at once?
Totally.
And then our third thing that is kind of controversial, but I personally love it, where we only allow you to chat 24 hours before the date, which kind of gives you a little bit of time to feel comfortable, but it makes that first date like really organic, where you have like those natural ice-breaking questions. So we kind of thought like those 3 things could change the whole dating app game and push people towards more in real life interactions.
I love that.
That is amazing.
I think that's amazing. I think, like you said, which like I've never used a dating app, but my friends they just chat with people and that's it. And I'm like, are you ever gonna make it out of the chat? Like, and they're like, probably not. And I'm like, then what's the point? You know? So I think that's really awesome.
I was gonna say
I would use it.
I've been on dating apps before. I genuinely can't think of like one person that I actually like went and like met up with through the dating app. I was just like, we talked and I was like, okay, I'm kind of over this.
And it also, I mean, as a guy, it also makes you think a little bit more intentionally of, okay, I'm not just going to like this person and then I'm going to have this Rolodex of people I match with for validation.
Yeah.
Do I actually want to go sit down face to face, get a coffee or have a drink with them? And if I do, then I'll send the connection instead of just swiping because there's no intentionality behind swiping.
Right.
That's actually really smart. It's actually like healthy as well. Cause like this, what you're saying about the validation, like that's probably 90% of the reason I was on dating apps.
Same.
Like, oh, I get matches. Like people think I look good. Like, oh yeah. But no, that's actually like, which is probably way healthier for your brain as well. I love that 100%.
We
Nice.
love that you love it. It brings us such joy when people have that reaction, especially when you're like, genius.
Yeah. I know.
You're a genius, darling. All right, for the last like minute or two, we're going to sneak in some like dating advice rapid fire. So it's like short, quick answers. Ready?
Ooh.
What qualities do you think make someone a catch in today's dating world?
Honesty.
Yeah. I'll
Love that.
agree with you on that.
In your opinion, what's more important, looks, personality, or ambition?
Personality.
Personality and ambition.
You can only have one, but fine. Okay, so we have a red flag board that we put up at each event where people come up and they like pin their red flag to the top of the board.
Love that.
What would you pin up there?
Too honest. Which is gonna sound like
That's you.
crazy.
That's not for you, for
literally-
somebody else.
Oh,
A
for
red flag
someone
for
else?
someone
Yeah, like
else.
what's a red flag for somebody else that you would pin on that board?
I thought you
that's-
were just saying that in general. I was like, that's you.
I was like, I thought it was my red flag. I was like, well, we can. I'll lay him out there. I guess we're getting really vulnerable.
that.
Red flag. Kenzie, you go first.
Oh, okay. I think. Ooh,
It's hard, right?
ooh, red flag. I love how you said rapid fire, and we're like,
It happens to everyone. Don't worry.
Doesn't like animals.
okay, that's a good one. That's a really good one. I think not close with their parents.
Oh,
I like that one. At least one parent.
Just one
If you're
parent.
not
Yeah.
close with both,
I mean, I'm
just
close
like,
with one parent. So.
Yeah, me too. What's one first date topic that should be banned forever? Like it'd be like exes, politics.
I was gonna say
Exes.
politics.
Exes.
See, there you go. One last. Do you believe in giving second chances? Do you believe in second chances and giving someone a shot after a less than perfect date, or are you kind of like out of there? Granted, you've never been.
I mean, giving someone second chances, I guess it depends on the situation, but I definitely have done that before, and it hasn't always worked out in my favor.
Kenzie says no.
So maybe no.
So for like on a date,
Like, say you had a horrible date, would you give that person a second chance?
no.
I probably wouldn't. I feel like if the first date is not, something that you dreamed of, or it's not great, then I feel like there's no point.
Agreed.
If you don't
Horrible's a
relate on
strong word.
anything. Yeah.
There's a lot of
like,
horrible
if
dates
it's
out there.
First date, it's like, okay, maybe there was an off night, but if it's horrible,
But it's like, what if you have nothing in common?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's
Fun
what I mean by
fact, Kenzie?
horrible.
listen to this.
Uh-huh.
You're actually more attracted to the people you're least compatible with.
What?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Says science. Says science.
That's nuts.
All right, Tilly.
Do we have to wrap it up?
We have no more time left, unfortunately.
So you can't do How Well Do You Know Yourself
We
for 2
cannot.
minutes?
That's okay.
We have to do a part 2 at some point.
We do.
Oh, absolutely. We'll be here.
100%.
Kenzie and Cole, I know you guys briefly spoke about what's in the works, but if you want to tell the people where to find you, if you have any big projects you want to announce, now's the time to do it.
Okay. Well, I guess my socials are Kenzie on everything, but I am going on tour from October 24th to December 4th all around the US.
So exciting.
Thank you. I'm opening for Mark Amber and I'm super excited. It's been a while since I've been on tour, so yeah.
Wait, is it going to be here in LA?
Yes.
We're
you guys
going.
have to come.
We're going.
Well, I was just going to say,
We'll give you some tickets.
I'm going to get your blessing before I do this, but
Yeah.
I think Fresh Rounds on Me is going to raffle off some Kenzie tickets. We're going to pay for them.
Oh,
And then
that's a
raffle
good
them off to some of your
idea.
friends.
That's
Yeah,
so
I think
kind.
How about
we
you,
should do
Cole?
that.
That is awesome.
I have 2 things. I have one, my solo project, which will be under Cole Sage, be able to find that anywhere, and that is what will probably be coming out next week.
Mhm.
And then I have my band project, which is still unnamed, which could also be coming out within the next couple of weeks. So
It's called
keep your
Unnamed.
eyes peeled. If you want to find out what it's going to be called, check out my Instagram because I still don't know what it's going to be called yet. So I'll post it on Instagram once it's good to go. But
Love it.
Amazing.
Well, thank you both for being on the show.
Thank
You're
you.
absolutely amazing. And
Oh, you
We
guys
love
are
it.
too.
thank you guys
too.
for having
Perfect
us.
100th episode guest.
yes.
I
and-
love that.
I know, it makes me so happy.
We love you guys. You
We
guys are
love
awesome.
you.
Amazing.
And for all of you guys listening, we love you. And thank you for listening. Check out one of our past episodes. Please subscribe. We appreciate that. It helps us go a long way. Happy dating, and we will see you next time.